And one back tuning into today's video, we're going to have a look at weather for the next 8 to 10 days today, which is taking us more or less to the start of September, so into the beginning of autumn, would you believe. Now, of course, that's meteorologically questionable because you can get some really hot temperatures in September, particularly early September. But it's useful when it comes to dealing with the statistics. You have to have a beginning and an end point for statistics. In terms of the weather itself, there isn't really a beginning and end point for seasons. They all sort of merge into one. It's a gradual sort of progression through the seasons, but for the numbers it is useful to have a direct start and cut-off point. So the start of September is the start of autumn when we deal with these statistics. So yeah, we're going to be looking at the start of September today, see what might be happening. It's usually a period where we get a lot of high pressure influences early September, known as the old wise summer. We'll see whether there's that signal in the models today. Now, before I get on with the video, I just want to talk about the advertising. There's green keyword ads on my pages. If you roll your cursor over green keywords, they'll display ads, but if you click through the word, you'll go to the advertiser's website, and by doing that, you're helping to support GavsWeatherViz.com, and thanks very much for doing that. So we'll start off with the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles. These are for the upper atmosphere. The temperature ensembles are for the upper atmosphere, but they're useful when it comes to dealing with the surface, because the weather in the upper atmosphere is often reflected down on the surface. Not always, there are some exceptions to that, but generally it is. And the red line here is where we should be at this time of the year. All members of the ensemble just at the moment are above that red line. We're in a warm air mass, quite a hot air mass actually. You'll feel the heat tomorrow, perhaps not so much today, so there's going to be a lot of cloud around, but tomorrow when the sun comes out down in the southeast, you will feel it. We could get back up into the 80s Fahrenheit, but notice as we get through to around, say, the 24th of August, those temperatures start to decline, although they're still generally staying above the red line, and we actually keep the ensemble mean, which is the white line, the thick white line that you can probably make out. We keep the ensemble mean above the red line for some days to come, actually into the start of September, and then by the time we get through to early September, we get a lot of scatter. Then there is signs that many members of the ensemble are going to be quite warm, but some do go quite cool, and of course you expect this as we go on through September. It is very much a cooling month. So even though we may start off quite warm for September, you would expect but at some point through the month the temperatures will become much more autumnal, and it's always different when that happens. Sometimes it happens very early in September, sometimes it does happen till late on in September, but September is a month where usually there are exceptions. It can go on into October, but warm sometimes, but that's rare, and most times you will find the temperatures sliding off through September. So the scatter that you're seeing here is reflecting the fact that some members of the ensemble want to keep the warmth going into the start of September, whereas others want to bring a much more autumnal type air mass into the country, and I say it's just a matter of when that happens through September. In terms of the rainfall spikes, we've got quite a bit of unsettled weather actually to come over the next few days. It's causing a few headaches. We'll have some thundery showers today. It's been a wet morning down in the southeast. That'll clear away, but I think we could have more thundery showers later on. And then over the weekend, particularly Saturday, there could be quite a bit of wet weather. That may or may not extend into Sunday as well. Now, as we go out beyond that, we keep some precipitation spikes, not that many, but we do keep a suggestion that, but at the very least, there's little weather fronts coming through perhaps at times, just keeping it more sort of gently unsettled. But there's no real indication there that we're going to have a prolonged sort of 10-day period of dry weather in the near future, completely dry weather, but as I say, it won't be a total washout by any means. The temperature anomalies for the next week, so the 22nd to the 29th of August, should be going to be a bit above average. We're going to be into the 0 to 2 Celsius above average category, so that's pretty good going out to the end of summer. Precipitation anomalies from the 22nd to the 29th show we're going to be drier in the north actually, and wetter down in the south. That really across the south, across England in particular, and south eastern England especially, is associated with the heavy rain that's coming up over the weekend, I think, and particularly focused on Saturday. So if we have a look at the generic charts, and this is the chart for Wednesday, first of all, 144 hours away from the GFS bar, you can see what's going on. It's basically the same sort of idea that we've had pretty much of August. We've got the high pressure to the west of the country, but high pressure also to the northeast of the country, and we're bringing in like a westerly to northwesterly flow. And as we go out towards Thursday, then the high pressure tries to ridge in. Does it make it and sit over the country? Well, it sort of is in across the country, but again, we're still keeping this westerly flow really through the British Isles. And actually, as we go out to Sunday the 1st of September, which is 10 days away, the high pressure sort of pulls back out into the Atlantic, and we're putting down a northerly wind once again. And that's how we go into the start of September then, with high pressure out to the west and the southwest, sort of keeping this west to northwesterly flow going. There's weather fronts coming around with that west to northwesterly flow, but it's not unsettled, it's just sort of gently type unsettled conditions with some bands of showery rain coming through at times, but really a lot of dry weather persisting into the start of September, and even out to 300 hours away, which is Tuesday the 3rd of September. It's the same sort of idea, with the high pressure still to the west, but low pressure to the northeast, and still bringing down this north to this west to northwesterly flow, which means temperatures probably near normal. It's been quite a warmish August, but as we go into September, a westerly flow will be a little bit on the cooler side, but not cold by any means. So sort of average conditions really continuing into the start of September, not particularly exciting. The ECMWF again shows that we've got high pressure out to the west of the country early next week. The low pressure is up to the northeast. This could be a little bit more unsettled through the middle of next week. Actually, many places could have some cloud and rain coming down with that. And as we go out to Thursday the 29th, which is a week away, we've got the low pressure there sitting in the North Sea, so that could be bringing some cloud and rain to eastern parts of the country through the middle of next week. That's more unsettled, I think, for next week than the GFS was showing. Then let's go out beyond that in towards the very end of August and the start of September. The ECMWF wants to ridge the high pressure in for Sunday, the 1st of September. Still more or less keeping it to the west, so it's still not particularly hot, but we're ridging the high pressure in there for the start of September, so that's quite pleasant. And from that, you would probably expect at least 2 or 3 days of high pressure dominated conditions. And then finally have a look at the GM for Sunday the 1st of September, see how we start Sunday. And it's the same sort of idea. The high pressure is just centred more or less to the west of the country. It's trying to ridge in, but we're always keeping the air flow around that high pressure more from the west or northwesterly flow. Now, I do think that high pressure probably will come in for a few days at the start of September, so I think we can expect maybe 5 days of really quite fine weather through the first 5 days of September, but beyond that it may turn a little bit more unsettled again. These are the city forecasts from the longer range CFS model from the website weatherweb.net. You can find weatherweb.net on my links page. I looked at this a little while ago, a couple of weeks back, and it was suggested that we'd keep it reasonably warm going out to the start of September, and then around the 5th or the 6th of September, you may remember this if you saw the video, around the 5th or the 6th of September, the city forecast, temperature forecast was suggested we'd see a slide down, quite a quick slide down in the temperature, from around the 5th or the 6th of September, and actually, funnily enough, that idea is still with us with the CFS model. There's the temperatures there going out to the end of August and into the start of September. Generally quite flat, but on the warmest side, to say the least. But then as we get to around the 6th of September, this is the 6th of September just here, we do see those temperature lines really dropping, quite a significant drop in temperature around the 5th or the 6th of September. And then we keep it really quite cool then throughout most of September, maybe a bit of a pick-up as we go into the final sort of few days of September, and then a drop again as we go out towards the start of October. But it does suggest, I think, that the idea is that we ridge a high pressure in through the first 5 days of September, but then we'll take the high pressure back out to west and probably pull down some sort of northerly wind around the 5th, 6th of September. That could be more unsettled as well, with low pressure coming down from the north, and that idea is still very much there, I think, within the CFS model, that whilst we start the first few days of September on a warm, dry settled note with a lot of high pressure, we probably do turn it much cooler, or perhaps not much cooler, but significantly cooler, as we get through from around the 5th or the 6th of September onwards. And then actually September could progress into quite a coolish month. We could progress into quite a coolish spell then for a couple of weeks before maybe picking up again right at the end of the month. Very speculative, but we'll have a look at it September in more detail tomorrow, because we'll be having the updates of the JMA and Beijing Climate Centre models. So we'll be looking at September in a little bit more detail tomorrow. But the idea really for the next 10 days anyway is really to keep it as we have had it throughout much of August, which is high pressure just to the west of the southwest. Keep a westerly flow going. It's not particularly exciting. It's trying to be settled, but we'll probably keep little weather systems coming through at times. The ECMWF may be suggesting more unsettled conditions middle of next week. And then for the start of September, we could well be looking at high pressure ridging it a little bit more strongly then, turning it warmer and drier, at least for a few days early in the month. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.